Welcome, Brandon, to Milan, and welcome to Linea Rock.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to have you here talking about a new album which is very particular, Sons of the Sea. It's about to be released in Italy as well, but it's already out since about 6 months.
Yes.
Worldwide, or in some countries and some other not?
Some countries. This is an independent release, so it gets distribution as we've been going along. It came out in the States about 6 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
But does it still make sense, to have delayed releases in an era when, online you can get everything instantly?
It's true, yeah. In a lot of ways, no, it does not make sense to do delayed releases. It's a little bit more of a formality, I think. And it's the physical release becomes available as I get distribution. And then I don't think it was available like on the iTunes and the Amazons of the world for digital download until recently in international places. But you're right, if anyone was interested enough, they could just go to YouTube or my website or something and listen to the whole thing. And that probably the fact that it's not available everywhere right at the same time probably just encourages people to just take it.
Good.
Which is, it's hard enough to make a living in the music industry. It's like, who am I to say?
Well, we can also say that this is such a noble album that, it can avoid, regardless the marketing rules, let's say like that.
Yeah, I hope so.
So you worked with Brendan O'Brien before, but this time your collaboration with him goes way deeper and elevates on a different level. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'd love to. Honestly, I feel so lucky in so many ways to have had the opportunity to work with Brendan the way that we have with Incubus. He has produced the past 3 Incubus records.
Yes.
And I just sort of assumed that would be the nature of our creative relationship together. And that was great. I was thrilled. And he's an amazing guy, and we've been friends for 10 years. But we started to kind of throw around the idea of hey man, let's try and write a song together sometime. And we've been saying that kind of intermittently for a number of years. And then so once it became really apparent that Incubus was going to take a break for an indefinite period of time, all of a sudden it became more kind of real. And we started to kind of, hey, so let's write one of those songs we were talking about. It was one of those situations. And so he had a moment in between records. And I wasn't doing anything at the moment, so I started sending him some lyric ideas and song ideas and stuff. And he started sending me some musical ideas that he had where it was just like a raw piano riff or a raw guitar riff or something. And we were off to the races. The very first track that we wrote together is called Lady Black, and it surprised us both how we had a demo, a really rough demo of it, and it was exciting enough that we rented a studio and we went in and we recorded it, and the way it turned out surprised us enough that we were like, we should maybe write another couple of songs. And then those surprised us enough that we said maybe we should write another couple of songs, and then before we knew it, we had a record. So it was fun.
So Brandon is really multi-talented man, and he can do really everything. But as a songwriting partner, do you feel the fact that he is also, a famous producer? I mean, in his attitude, or it changes? For the most part, he's the same. He was the same guy. He doesn't behave like a famous producer would behave. He's not like sitting in the corner with dark sunglasses on, yelling at people to go get him things. That's sort of what I imagine a famous producer to do. That's what I plan on doing one day, is being a famous producer and just sitting in the corner and yelling at people. I won't do that, I promise. But no, he was the same dude, but he's a friend. We've been friends for a long time now, and I think we continue to work together because it's fun, and it's challenging in the right ways, and it's easy in the right ways. So that's why we keep working together.
So you just mentioned that Incubus are stopping for a while. So this was the right moment for you maybe to explore different fields. But how can you explain why you needed, to make more music by yourself without the band? Is it a matter, of maybe Incubus feeling maybe too tight for your inspiration at this point of your career, or simply you needed a breath of fresh air?
I would say that we all just kind of needed a breath of fresh air. Incubus as a band has never really had too many kind of like parameters on us. We've kind of had free reign. For as long as we've been a band, we've always made the kind of music that we wanted to make. And as our longtime listeners will know, as we've really run the gamut, like we've kind of explored so many different kinds of genres and styles, and really it's that we've always felt very free to do those things. I really think that it comes down to a probably very normal human phenomenon. When you're in any kind of like extended relationship, you could be completely in love with somebody and married to them for 20-something years, which we have been in our band. It's like a marriage of 5 men with no sex. So I basically needed to go and find some sex, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so I found some sex.
Okay, is there any song on the Songs of the Sea album that you are more emotionally attached, or that feels deeper for you?
No, there's not one more so out of any other. There are a couple of songs that didn't make the album that are pretty good, but I wasn't as attached to them emotionally and creatively, and so that's when you know that they don't belong with that group of songs.
Okay.
What I like to strive for is to feel emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually invested in every part of making a record.
Yes.
I find making music to be a very high calling, and it deserves all of our creative attentions, and we should do our very best on every single part of it. So that's what I like to try and do.
All right. So this is not a concert, but all the songs belongs together in a very special way. They are connected in a sense. That's what you're meaning.
Yeah, they all kind of emerged around the same time, and they, each one, there are different songs, but they were born of the same intention, of the same spirit, of the same amount of love and dedication. So it would be hard for me to pick a favorite.
Okay. This album has been defined a pop extravaganza. And,
really?
Yes, which is also quintessential Brandon Boyd. Is it actually how you feel it?
I don't know if I would have used the term pop extravaganza, but that sure sounds fancy. I've been sort of lovingly describing the record as oddball pop or dream pop.
Wow.
It's that's how it seems to me. Well, who am I to say what it is? I'm only the guy that helped make it. I really, honestly, I think that it's much better served to be described by somebody listening to it, not by somebody who made it.
Okay.
I have my biases, but I'm way too close to it to accurately tell you what it is.
Songs of the Sea acronym is also SOS. Any hidden message you want to deliver that's behind that?
I wish there was. It's just a happy coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. If I wasn't just a little bit jet lagged like I am right now, I could come up with something ridiculous like, help! Get me out of here! That's what it means. No, it was just a happy coincidence, and we started writing Sons of the Sea on the rough mix CDs, and then when that was taking up too much of the CD, we started just writing SOS, and I was like, oh look what it does, like a cry for help signal. What does that mean? I don't know. So,
but if it was, I hope you found it. I mean,
yeah,
the help you were looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, this project has brought a great amount of creative joy and fulfillment.
So even if nobody listens to it, it almost doesn't matter. It was really an essential kind of creative exercise for me.
Okay. We can consider also this album a part of a global design or project with the book, So the Eco, that you published just in 2013. Mm-hmm. Is it part of the same thing, in a sense?
It is, and it was kind of unintentional. Mm-hmm. I just had a year, that year when I was writing Sons of the Sea, I had a lot of visual output as well, and a lot of inspiration to kind of curate older work that I had done over the past couple of years. So I ended up it was just a period of time where I just felt really deeply inspired. I felt like the doorway was just sort of open, or open whichever place that you're coming from. So in my case, it's sort of both. I like to sort of fuse these two hemispheres. Right. They just felt like they were wide open, and I took the opportunity, and it felt right. It just felt like it was all supposed to happen at the same time. So I had 2 kids. They don't look like each other, but they're twins.
Yes. Okay. Sons of the Sea album delivers also a sense of peace, and free atmosphere, very spiritual. And it's very also relaxing to listen to it. That was exactly what you had in your mind and in your heart making it. I mean, it's the mirror maybe of the environment you composed the songs in.
Perhaps. I don't really ever go into a songwriting process or a painting process with much expectation or with much of a plan as far as what I'm trying to do. I'm more responding to an innate desire to make something. Okay. And so in this sense, the music that I make and the art that I make, they're almost like little windows into my state of mind or my state of being for any particular time. Yeah. And I did happen to have a number of experiences around this time before making this record and during it that led to a sense of peace. I felt something, maybe it's a little hard to describe, it drifts more maybe into a spiritual realm. But definitely something was happening. Yeah. I still feel it today. It's wonderful. I actually feel, in a weird way, almost like a relief. I couldn't really tell you from what. I just feel like something kind of cracked open and let more light in. So, is
this a feeling that that already happened to you in the past that you can compare to something you already lived, or is so special that it was unique?
Well, it was definitely unique, and I think that it has a lot to do with many things, not the least of which is the age that I'm at. I just turned 38 a few weeks ago, and I think something happens when we reach our late 30s where we maybe start to figure some things out about ourselves and where we fit in the scope of our lives, at least for that moment, because it's always changing, as we know. But I'd had glimmers of these feelings for my entire life, but they were more glimmers or little glimpses. Yeah. And in this occasion, it was more of less of a glimpse and more of just like the window is wide open and I got to just sort of look out of it and, stare lovingly out onto the landscape. Does that make sense?
Yes, okay. It does, as everything you say.
Okay.
The front cover of the album has been done by a Brazilian artist, which is called Bruno Borges. I hope I pronounce it good. And has a very special story behind that includes your wife as well.
That girlfriend.
I'm not married. Girlfriend. Okay, not married. Okay. Can you tell us the story about it? I mean, how did you discover Bruno and how it happened?
I had actually seen Bruno's work just on design blogs before, but it never, one of the problems with Tumblr, I love Tumblr and things like it, but a lot of the pages that you'll visit, they're beautiful, but they don't tell you whose work it is. Yeah. And so I had actually saved a bunch of his pictures before in my creative inspiration file on my computer. And then my girlfriend Balin was on Tumblr one day, and she goes, "Have you seen this guy's work?" And she like turned her computer towards me, and I'm like, "Yes. Who is it?" And she's like, "Oh, it's this guy Bruno. He goes by Pen Branca as well. It's another one of his. I guess it's his alias." And we both just sat there staring at it. So she introduced me to his work via her own sort of inspiration file, and then I got mesmerized by his work. He was just this. He's more of a graphic artist, you know, like a graphic designer, and taking photographs and manipulating them. And I started obsessing and saving a bunch of them, knowing who it was now. And then I got this sort of wild idea. I'm just going to send him an email and see if he might write me back. Maybe he'll want to do some artwork. And I wasn't expecting him to write me back, but he wrote me back the same day. And then we started talking. And
but he actually did the cover for you after the album was done, or you chose some of his work that he's done before?
He had some work that he hadn't published, and I chose it from some stuff that he hadn't published.
Which was simply perfect.
I saw the image and I was like, that right there needs to be the cover.
That's the one. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then another artist, actually, a guy called Sonny Boy in Los Angeles, did the Sons of the Sea words.
Yes.
That he does hand-painted signs.
Oh, okay.
And so he hand-painted a bunch of things for me. And then on the inside, the photograph, an old friend of mine, Brian Bowen Smith, who actually people would know him from all of the photography.
Yes.
From Morning View, album, A Crow Left of the Murder, tour stuff. Like Brian's been a longtime friend of ours, and so he did the picture on the inside.
It's very spiritual picture. I mean, it seems that you're going into the record also from the image, which is perfect.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
So, concerning art in general, when you open a website, brandonboyd.me appears, you know, a homepage which is divided in two. It's art on the left and music on the right. A sort of crossroad that you have to choose from. Are these two different worlds in your mind that maybe show different aspects of your personality and creativity? And how can you explain they belong together to you, you know, and connects to you?
Right. That's a good question. I was making the website with a friend of mine, and we started to compile all of the information that I wanted to be present on the website. And it was getting a little bit convoluted. It was getting a little bit difficult to navigate.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to separate the two things because for me they are not separate. They're very much fused. And so the distinction between art and music and the decision for me, like today I'm going to write a song or today I'm going to draw something, is really circumstantial. It's what tools do I have around me at that moment of being inspired.
Yeah.
And so for so many years now, I've been on tour with Incubus and making records with Incubus, and so the tools that have been around me have been musical tools. Okay. And then so when we were on tour and then we'd finished the show, or we didn't have a show that day, the tools I had around me were sketchbooks or a camera.
Okay.
And so I like to think of them as two branches growing off of the same tree. So with the website, I didn't necessarily mean for it to be a sort of hemispheric exercise like right and left brain, because it's all kind of coming from the same thing. I needed to split them off into different hemispheres just to make sense of them, because I don't know, I like making
just
stuff.
To give an order, I mean.
Just for a little bit of order.
Okay.
Linearity is really overrated, but when it comes to trying to let people know what you're doing, linearity is probably a good thing. Yeah.
So you're also a painter, a photographer, but why didn't you decide to have one of your photos or one of your paints as the cover of this record? It was maybe too much, or
Exactly.
Okay.
I thought I would. I thought I was going to. In fact, I didn't even think twice about it. And then I was putting the finishing touches on So the Echo, the book, and mixing the album. I was kind of excited about, now I get to do the album cover. And then I started feeling like an asshole. I started feeling like that guy. I'm going to produce it, and I'm going to make the movie, and started feeling like I was maybe trying to control too many elements of it. And it felt like the right thing to do, to reach out to some people that I knew or had just met to do it. And I'm so glad I did.
Okay, great. You used to say that art, for you is a tool for activism. How would you explain that?
I think art and music can be a tool for activism. That's not necessarily why I make art. I make art out of an impulse, mostly. It's quite simple. I just feel an impulse to do those things, and the process during which I make art, art in the all-encompassing sense, is cathartic for me. It helps me to understand my experience of being alive right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And activism as an opportunity, it's almost like a happy byproduct, if that makes sense. Like the opportunity to raise people's awareness presented itself, and it felt like the right thing to do at the right time, because we at particular times in this band have had sometimes a lot of people's attention at one time. And so you can either just sit there and be like, yeah, look at me, yeah, point at people and sign autographs and stuff, or you can be like, whoa, you're all looking at me. Did you guys know that over here, and what's interesting is that a lot of people at first are like, yay, yay, and they're like, really? I didn't know that. Tell me more. And so it's like you all of a sudden have this opportunity.
Yes.
And so I think for us in the band and for myself, like it felt like the right thing to do. It felt like that was what we were supposed to do. And it's fun too. It's really fun to actually be of service, to make yourself available for service.
Yeah.
And because of that opportunity we've had, we've been able to raise a great deal of money for other charities, and maybe even raise people's awarenesses about things that they wouldn't have otherwise known.
You did already some concerts as Sons of the Sea in the USA. The message is very clear on your website, and since the mid of February, under the tour menu, you can see more dates to be added soon. So will you extend this live experience worldwide? Will you come to Italy also with this band? And
yes.
Can you introduce the touring band? Set list will be like also some songs from your past, or you will concentrate on it? Just tell us about it.
Yeah, the shows that we only did 8 shows so far, and they were really, really fun and different. It was a really different experience for me, and you could tell it was different for the audience too. And you could tell they were enjoying themselves as well, but you could tell that they were absorbing something that was very different than what they'd seen with Incubus. So it is my deepest hope and intention to bring this project overseas. I only have to figure out a way to make it not make me go broke.
Okay.
It's expensive touring.
Yeah.
And it's an indie project, so it's not like we have a record label that's paying for us to come over here. And because it's also an unproven project, the promoters aren't like throwing opportunities at us. So what I'd like to do is make it known that we are interested in playing and sort of float that balloon. And so if anybody kind of captures the balloon and sends back a message, we would love to. We would really love to make that happen. So it's a 5-piece, not dissimilar from Incubus, but the players are very different, and the kinds of musicians they are very different too. So a guy called Greg Rogov, who's the drummer. He's a very good friend of mine. Guitar player's name is Joel Shearer, who's played with lots of people that you guys might recognize. He used to play with Alanis Morissette.
Okay.
Among other people, Damien Rice, and a very close friend of his who played with some of those artists as well is the keyboard player. His name is Zach Ray. And then the bass player is Milo De Cruz, who has also played with tons of people. And they're amazing guys, and it was only I can't even say I put Incubus together. I don't think any of us put Incubus together. We went to school together. And we were like classmates.
Yes.
It was like, hey, when we hung out. So it was like, hey, you want to make a band? It was like that. So this is kind of the first band I ever put together. Sons of the Sea.
So Brandon is not touring. I mean, he's not playing. No, he's not.
Unless we play
would be too complicated, maybe.
Not so much. I think it's because he doesn't need to tour. His love is to like be in the studio producing.
Okay.
But he promised me that if we ever go on TV or play in arenas, he'll join us on stage.
Okay. Since you went on tour with Korn back in the days, with Incubus, you've been considered a new metal band. Is that a label that you feel some way as a limit, and that you live? How do you live it?
Well, like any label that's placed upon a group of artists, it's terribly limiting, and it was one that we never felt comfortable with as well. I think it was more a label by association than anything. We had a very brief moment in our creativity where we were making that kind of a kind of music that might have been considered that, and I think that right away we like steered a hard left turn away from it with our second record. It was really only our first record that I think sort of invited that association. So yeah, I honestly, I think if anyone had been really listening to any of Incubus's records from Make Yourself forward,
yes,
I don't think that they could really, with any accuracy, call it new metal.
Nice.
So, yeah, I could go on about that for a while, but I'll just leave it be. I didn't know that we still use that term even.
Yeah.
People
No,
still use the
okay,
term?
back in, no, not anymore. There are a lot of different labels, which are too many, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So Incubus fans that are coming to Sons of the Sea shows are in a sense prepared, to have a special treatment.
A little bit, yeah. They're going to be a little bit, maybe a lot, surprised by what they find. It's definitely something different. It has brought something different out of me as a singer, and the way that the guys in this band play is very different than, like I said, they're different kinds of musicians than the guys in Incubus are. But it's really cool. Okay. It's a totally different vibe. I like it. It's fun.
I know you are a very spiritual person. It's been 1 year these days since Pope Francisco has been elected, and he did a lot in just 1 year for the church, but also socially. Yeah. Is it just a sign of the times, or actually the power of this man is huge? What's your opinion on it?
I don't really have too much opinions about organized religion.
Okay.
I do have lots of opinions about organized religion, but I don't participate so much in organized religion. I like to make a very clear-cut distinction between spirituality and religion. Sure. Religion gets a little too close to politics for me, and whereas politics and occasionally religion are intriguing intellectually, and as far as the game of chess that's involved, I've always found that to make that distinction, to remain in my sort of spiritual self, has lent itself to a lot more spiritual freedom and creative freedom. And so, yeah, it does seem like he's doing a lot of good things for the Catholic Church in a time when it's probably a difficult time for the Catholic Church. But yeah.
Good. Okay, so now the easy question. You're considered a sex symbol in rock and roll. How do you live that?
By not being very aware that I'm considered.
Really?
Yeah,
come on.
Well, I don't know if you saw my reaction when you said that. I can't really I don't know. Maybe I should talk to somebody about that. I've always been, sex is obviously a fascinating topic, and we're either having too much of it or not enough of it. Where I fit into that symbolically, I really don't know. It actually almost confuses me in certain ways, because I look at myself in the mirror every day and smell myself occasionally when I'm walking down the street, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to take a shower. So I don't know. Do I seem like a pretty happy dude?
Yes, you do.
I guess I'm doing all right.
You have a lot of, you're very fascinating, and that's, it's not just what you see in the,
Sure.
outside.
Sure. That's a really important point.
That goes deeply, that's...
Well, I feel like if by the way, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I feel like if people are seeing me in that sense, if they're seeing more of my essence than my physicality, then I think I'm on the right track.
You are, because you're very beautiful. So,
Thank you.
and if this is the mirror of your soul must be, perfect. So that's okay. So, what's immediately next for Brandon Boyd at the moment?
Immediately, I'm going to Berlin tomorrow.
Okay.
To do a book event, and then from there I'm going to Paris to do a book event, and then to London to do the same thing, and then I'm going to New York City from there to do a press announcement for a new project that I'm getting involved in that I actually can't tell you what it is.
Okay.
If it goes into the international press, which it probably will, because it's a little bit of a big deal, I guess. You'll be hearing about it by like the first week of April.
Okay.
So, but I would get fired if I said anything about it.
Okay, so, and we don't want to cause any trouble to you, so.
But it's going to be fun.
Right.
It's going to be really weird for some people to digest, but it's going to be really fun.
So it's not, can you tell us if it has something to do with rock and roll, or it's, okay, so good news. Okay, we will, looking forward to hear what it's all about.
You're going to laugh when you hear the announcement, and then just based on what I'm telling you, you're going to be like, oh, huh? It's going to be like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Brandon, and hope to see you soon
Thank
back
you
in
too.
Italy and back to Linea Rock.
Yeah.
Ciao.